When you first saw Trey Mancini in camp, how did he look to you compared to when you saw him before the cancer diagnosis, and how does he look now compared to that first day?
To me, he looked the same. Physically, he looked strong, and swing wise, he looked good. He'd been hitting some, and I really didn't see any difference. And I think now, as we've played games, the biggest difference is he's just gotten more acclimated, and he started to slow himself down, which has allowed him to kind of slow the game down. So, which is true of any hitter, not necessarily a guy that missed a whole year, but yeah, he looked good right from the start, and continues to get better and continues to work well and look strong. So I think he's in a great spot.
Dan, go ahead.
Hey, Don.
Hi.
I know there's you enjoy spring training for one reason, because you get to work with guys you haven't worked with before, some of the younger guys. Anybody in particular, a couple guys who maybe you hadn't worked with before, who've kind of stood out to you this spring, either through their work ethic or their fundamentals or their swing approach?
This whole group that we've had here, including the guys that have been here and gone over to Twin Lakes, they're all good workers, and they all want opportunity. And our challenge has been, finding opportunities within, the protocols and the intake times, and trying to, in a normal spring training, we would make early cage time available for everybody. And we just haven't been able to do that. So we've had to find spots in the morning, mainly for the starters that day in the game. And then either throughout the day or at the end of the day, if there's some stay back guys. I think Ryan McKenna's done a great job. I've been impressed with his command of the strike zone. And I think there's a lot of parts of his game that play well, offensively and defensively and on the bases. And, he's been open to maybe adjusting something here or there to improve. He doesn't chase a lot of pitches, and his challenge was when he did swing, just the way that he went about it he was fouling a lot of pitches off or putting them in play, but not hard. And so he's been open and willing to make some adjustments. So he impressed me. Anybody as a young player that can come into a major league camp, he got a lot of opportunity to play and really manage the strike zone the way he did, I think is important for any hitter, but especially as a young hitter, when you show the ability to do that in game, that's a good sign for me moving forward.
Rich, go ahead.
Hey, Don, what's your reading on working with Yusniel Diaz over the past couple of years?
Yeah, he's a real, talented kid, and he's hungry for opportunity up here, I know. And it's kind of one step at a time. He needs to play, like a lot of these guys that were hamstrung last year, not having the ability to play games. And he kind of falls into that category. And so I just think he needs to get out and play and improve. And, he's a talented kid, and he's going to have to play and, earn the opportunity to move to the next level at some point.
Steve, go ahead.
Don, Hayes and Mountcastle, two important guys to your lineup. They're aggressive hitters. We know that. The walk totals are low because of that. If the production is there, are you okay with that, the low walks? Or as young hitters who could grow and change over the next few years, will that change and evolve?
Well, we're always, for any of our guys, and you're asking about those two guys, we want our hitters to be aggressive, but we also want them to be under control. Aggressiveness is just swinging. It's just going up there and swinging hard. And I think that both of them have made strides in that area. I think Ryan made strides in that area last year, from his minor league track record to his time in the big leagues. He still chased some, for sure. But he certainly brought that number down at a higher level, which, is a big challenge. And I told him one day here a week or so ago, I said, you may never be like a Mike Trout or a Joey Votto that, chases less than 20% of the time. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for you to understand what part of the strike zone you do the most damage in and try and stick to that part of the strike zone more often. And he's still going to chase some. And Hayes has really made a conscious effort to improve that part of his game, because I think they both realize that if the pitcher can get you to move the bat without having to throw you a strike, it becomes a much easier at bat from a pitcher's perspective. And so we're trying to be, tougher than that. As far as the walks go, to me, the way you walk is by being ready to hit, but it's also having the discipline to hit with the strikes first, but then be able to hit the part of the plate where you can really hit the ball hard. And from a pitcher's mindset, when there's danger in the zone, thinking about it from the pitcher's perspective, that's when more mistakes have a tendency to occur. Mistakes in the zone and big misses out of the zone. So the walks are a byproduct of really knowing that I'm moving the bat on pitches to hit in the zone and I'm hitting the ball hard. And so the pitcher either tries to do more and has a big miss, or tries to do more and has a bad miss for him in the zone, and we're putting the ball in play hard. So I see them both making progress in that area. Ultimately, what that looks like, I don't know, but I think they're both mindful of that. And, it's a fine line between, who they are inherently and what they're good at, and potentially trying to make them something that they're not. So certainly we want them to get a little bit better in that regard, for sure, and keep exploring options to get better without losing the essence of who they are and what they can do offensively.
John, you're up.
Don, Cedric Mullins is trying to do something that few hitters probably are capable of doing, let alone have done successfully in big leagues. What are the types of things that you're looking for as he's in game action against left-handed pitching specifically that are showing you that what he's trying to do can be successful and carry over?
Yeah, to me, the number one requirement for any hitter to be their best at any level is they have to have a belief, regardless of most recent results, regardless of what anybody might tell them. They have to strongly believe that it's something that they're going to be good at and they can perform. So that's requirement number one. So as far as Cedric goes, I think just moving to the left side exclusively, I think he has that, where I don't necessarily think he had that when he went up, hitting right-handed. So that's requirement number one. And I think that's a big factor. I think he believes that he can do it. And so you can check that box. And I've seen absolutely no give in a left-on-left situation. Like, he doesn't want to stick his nose in there. I see him wanting to do that. And, I think it's something that he's really going to be able to do. One, because he believes he can do it. And with more reps, I think he's going to get better and better at it. And two, I see that because of the confidence from that side of the plate, I see a willingness to stay in there and make it happen. So I think he's going to be able to do it.
Nathan, go ahead.
Hey, Don, I know spring training stats only mean so much, but are there numbers that come from this time of year that you really pay attention to evaluate guys?
Yeah, I just look at the overall quality of their bats and, are they swinging at good pitches? Are they, and more often than not, are they able to, lay off the pitcher's pitch or pitches outside of the zone? And then from there, look at, when they're putting the ball in play, what's happening, reading ball flight, reading, are they able to consistently hit the ball hard? Because the end result that they all desire is really a byproduct of a good process and a good approach. And so as long as that part is in order, swinging at the right pitches, making the right moves, they really don't control the outcome the very end result. So we try and help them, which is a challenge for any hitter because they all want the result of the hit. But we're really trying to get them thinking in a process-oriented way, take care of what you can control. And once the ball leaves your bat, that part's over. And like I said, that's a big challenge for so many guys. But if you think that way, your best hitters have the ability to do that. They have the ability to say, I got the right pitch to hit. I made a good move on it. I put the ball in play hard. And even if the box score says they're 0 for 1, in their mind, they're still 1 for 1. And that's what we really try and get them to tap into. And that's what I look at here also.
David, go ahead.
Good morning, Don.
Morning.
You have been doing this for a good many years. Compared to years past, be it 5, 10, 20, whatever, how much more frequently do players approach you about quote unquote changing their swing, and what do you tend to tell them?
Yeah, honestly, I'm not a believer in changing swings because I operate under the thought that every hitter, their best swing, they already possess. And the thing that gets in the way of that, them being able to access their best swing consistently, usually has to do with their thinking, their timing, their position, or their ability to be really good with their eyes. And so, the old, and it could be not true, I don't know, but you've probably all heard the old Michelangelo story, right? Where supposedly back in the day, he carved this statue of David out of this block of granite. And they said, how did you carve such a beautiful statue out of a block of stone? He said, I didn't. I simply chipped away at the stone until the statue revealed itself. And that's how I look at a hitter's swing. You already possess your best swing. It's already there. So let's not spend time chasing a good swing or chasing something that you already know how to do well. Let's chip away at the thing that's getting in the way of that. And for most guys, the thing that interrupts the physical part of their game is the mental part of the game. And I can give you an example. I won't name a name, but I had a guy come to me a couple days ago in the cage with the exasperated, oh man, what's going on? I don't know what to do. I said, let me ask you a question. I picked a ball up out of the basket and I said, what's this pitch going to be? And he looked at me and he said, I don't know. I said, yeah, you do. And I long story short, I led him in the direction to come up with the answer himself. And what I wanted him to get to, and he did ultimately, was a fastball. Okay, where's the fastball going to be? Middle. And when's it going to be there? Well, ultimately, he arrived at it's going to be there before the pitch is ever thrown. So in other words, as a hitter, the disadvantage I have is I don't have the ball in my hand when I walk up to home plate. I'm on offense, but I don't have the ball. The pitcher has the ball. So my goal is to make a pitcher a part of my plan. Well, most guys like to hit fastballs, and most guys like to hit fastballs in the heart of the plate. So I might as well walk up there anticipating a fastball in the middle of the plate until my eyes tell me, no, it's either not that pitch in that location, it's out of that spot. So I'm ready to hit all the time, and I'm ready to hit according to my plan. And he simply changed his mentality, which allowed his swing that he already possesses now to come out in the game over the last couple of games. So that's the importance of the mental part of what they're doing. That's where most guys get bogged down. So that's really where I spend a bulk of my time, is making sure that these guys check in with what's going on up here, because if I'm right up here, then usually, the physical part of it will take care of itself.
Yeah, following up, going back to the crux of my original question, every year you read about guys coming into spring saying, I want to hit more balls in the air. I'm quote unquote, I'm working to change my swing. So do you actually have players communicating that, and then you have to circle back to what you just said?
Well, I think there's some guys that I've had plenty of guys over the years, and it's typically the quote unquote 4A player, the guy that's maybe had a cup of coffee in the big leagues, And he's looking for that one thing that's going to get him over the edge to help him become a full-time major leaguer, maybe an everyday major league player. And usually when guys think that way, they think they've been a good hitter in the minor leagues. Maybe they haven't hit for the power that they think people are looking for. So they think if I hit for more power, that's going to be the game changer for me. And typically when you talk about a guy that says, maybe I want to hit more balls in the air, you're typically talking about a guy who's changing his intent for his at bat, which ultimately may change how he swings. And I've seen plenty of guys over the years who come into spring training with that new intention, which may need to elude a new swing, which actually makes them less than they were before. So I think you have to be really careful with that, with a lot of guys, and ultimately they kind of circle back to what they were good at anyways. Hopefully I'm answering your question, but what we aspire to do is hit the ball hard on a line. And when my approach is to hit the ball hard on a line, now I have way more margin for error in my points of contact. I can hit a little deep on time or a little early in any location, any kind of pitch, a little toward the top, middle, or bottom of the ball, and still get a good result that will work in the game. When I become too one-dimensional and I say I need to hit the ball in the air more, I may hit the ball in the air more, but that may not be where I am really at my best. So, I mean, I understand the part about guys saying I want to change my swing. When guys say that to me, really what they're telling me is I want to change my intention. I want to change the outcome. I want to change the result. And there may be a handful of guys that have been successful with that. I don't think there's been hundreds of guys who have been successful doing that.
All right, we've got time for one final question from John Mioli. John, go ahead.
Kind of along those lines, over the last year, even though there wasn't really as much minor league baseball as anyone would have wanted, there have been a lot of new hitting coaches trying to implement things on that side, and I'm sure you've gotten to work with them in some form or fashion at this spring and last spring. How does your own personal philosophy, I guess, influence what they're trying to do, and what do you think about the overall direction that they're trying to take things down there over at Twin Lakes?
Well, I think we've got a great group of young coaches who are, super inspired to help guys get better. I think that's their motivation. That's my motivation. I don't know that it's anything is necessarily my philosophy. What I try and do is look at the attributes of every hitter individually and try and help them find their sweet spot, in a sense. Like, what are you really good at? We'd all like to build the perfect hitter, right? The guy that never chases, the guy that can hit to all fields, the guy that can hit situationally, the guy that has power, the guy that can hit for average, he can get on base. But really, most guys are going to do, if I'm just making it up, but let's say there's 5 different categories of what makes a great hitter. If a guy can do 2 of those things really well, he can be a good big league player, right? And sometimes it's not overcoming your deficiencies, it's learning how to deal with them. So in other words, if there's a part of the strike zone that I don't hit particularly well, it may not be me trying to master my ability to hit that spot in the strike zone. It may be my ability to master not swinging at it, And so I think that group of guys is really in tune as young coaches to trying to, continue to enhance strengths of players while trying to improve on things they're challenged with. And they have all the tools and resources available to them. And I think their sole motivation is to help each individual hitter discover how great they can be. And that's a cool thing when you have a system of people who are inspired by and dedicated to trying to help the individual improve, which ultimately helps the organization improve. And I think we have a group of guys that want to do that and want to learn and grow, just like we all do. We never have it all figured out. And I think it's a good collaboration.